How's it going, guys? TJ Bennett here and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be looking at methods. Methods allow you to group code together to perform a task. Let's look at different types of methods. The syntax will look like this. First, we declare the type of method. We'll type in lowercase void. Now we can type the identifier of the method. Let's call it display text. Make sure to add an open close parentheses, and below the method we'll add open and close curly braces. In the curly braces is where we can add our code. Let's add a console.writeLine, type in a number. We can now call this method in our program. We just have to write our method name with an open and close parentheses. It's important to know that void methods do not return a value. Let's also add an int number and assign it to be a number that the user inputs. Instead of void, you can declare a method using different data types, for example, strings, bools, and ints. I'll show you what an int method would look like. First, we'll declare a data type, which will be an int. Then we'll call this method multiply number. We'll add an open close parentheses and our open close curly brace. And within our int multiply number, let's take the value of number and assign it to number times 2. And for other methods besides void, we have to use the keyword return, and we have to return a value. So here we'll return number. Since the method returns a value, we can use the method in an assignment. For instance, after getting user input, we can reassign it the result of multiply number. Let's add a console.writeLine to show what the number is. If you debug this code, you'll notice that once it hits the method, the next executable line is actually inside the method being called. Methods also allow us to make code easier to manage. In our vending machine app, we have our menu display, which is several lines of code. At the bottom of our script, we can declare a void method called display menu. We can move our menu logic into this method, and where we originally had our display logic, we can just call our display menu method. Separating tasks into methods really help code readability. You can also collapse methods as well, making it much easier for you and others to look at your code. While we're on the topic of readability, it's important to add comments to your code as well. A comment is like a note you can write in your logic that gets ignored by the compiler. One way of writing a comment is using a double /. Adding comments to methods or next to variables keep track of what different components do. They also help keep track of what needs to be done. Now let's move our display text and multiply number methods outside of our main method. We'll see that we have an error that we're trying to use a method that's non-static. This is because our main method is static. Using static modifiers does add performance to methods, but static modifiers do add limitations when using them with classes. The important thing to take away here is that if you want to call a method inside of a static method, that method must also be static. Since our multiply number method is outside of our main method, we can no longer access the variable number. But there is a way we can communicate the value to our multiply number method. We just need to add a parameter to the method. Within our open close parentheses, let's add int number passed. In our main method, we can now put our number variable into the parentheses of our multiply number method. When we run this code and type in the number 5, we'll see that number gets passed into multiply number and doubles it, giving us the output 10. You can also add multiple parameters by adding commas between them. Here we'll add a second parameter. Let's add a comma and then add int multiplied by. And we'll replace 2 with the variable. Now when we call our method, we'll add a comma and put the number 2. When we run this code and type in the number 5, we'll get the same output of 10. This is because int number is getting assigned 5 by this int parse console.readline. This is where it accepts user input. So when we type in 5, that value gets assigned a number. Then we reassign number to be the result of multiply number, and we pass in our user input, comma, and then the number that we want to multiply by. Here we put 2. Once it enters this method, it goes into this static int multiply number, and the value of number passed would be 5 because that's what we typed in, and int multiply by, so here we dynamically put 2, so this would be 2. That would mean that 5 equals 5 times 2 and returns the value, which would be 10. And then here we simply just output. We say result plus number. If you're following along in the series, try to refactor your vending machine app to include comments and methods. You could even create a new project and try to create a calculator app. Practicing programming will definitely help you in the long run. If you have any problems or come across any bugs, make sure to utilize your resources like Google. And also use the debugger. It'll definitely help narrow down what's causing the bug. In the next video, we'll be learning about classes. If you want to be notified each time I upload a video, feel free to subscribe and click on the bell icon so you're notified each time I upload a video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.